Okay, so I've got the roof and the outer walls done. So now I want to start refining things and making it a bit more accurate and close to the way it's really being built. So the first thing I want to sort out is the main thing I'm trying to sort out actually is the curtain wall layout. But before I can really do that properly, I've got to work out what's happening with the columns. And so you can see from the ground floor plan we've got from AutoCAD, it'll give you a pretty good indication of the column locations. And so I put some columns in earlier just to help me work out some other things. But I want to clear those now. So a quick way of doing that is just to select everything in that area with a window, and then using filter, I can turn off with check none everything except my structural columns. Okay, and then I can delete those, and I'm going to go and make them again using a different approach. I'm going to use the grid tool. And so grids are great. When you have a column grid, the grid really helps a lot, the grid tool. So if you haven't used it much, it's on the architecture tab, and you have grid at the end near the work plane panel. You've got the datum panel. And with grid, I'm going to use a couple of little tricks there. I'm going to type SC, which is a shortcut to snap to center, and then I can draw from the center line of one of the columns I have from AutoCAD, and then I will take that in the direction I want my grid bubble to be. So I think I want my grid bubbles to be on the top and on the left. So I'm going to go up. I know it might seem strange, but I'm going up first because that determines where this bubble goes. And then I'll use the open circle and stretch it all the way down so that it goes past the bottom edge of the building. Okay, so notice we've got a 1 there, which is a nice thing. And then I'll press escape to cancel, escape twice, so I can select my grid line that I've just made. And I'm going to use copy. If you want to really be tricky, you can try using array. It works really well with grids in some cases, but here I think all I need is copy. And again, I'm going to pick it up on the center of my circle. So SC, and then I can choose the circle. And then to place it, again, I'll type SC, snap to the center of the next column, and then I can click copy again. This time I'll turn, well, I'll do multiple in a minute. Actually, I'll just leave it as it is for now. So again, to pick it up, SC to pick up the base point, and then SC again to place it. So I've got columns or grids 1, 2 and 3. And now going in the other direction, I'll draw a new grid. Again, SC, snap to center, to draw from the center there. And this time when I go to the left, it'll place the bubble on that side. And I'm going to change that 4 to capital A. Enter, and then stretch it so that it's long enough. That looks pretty good. Escape twice. And then I'll select my new grid line again, and this time when I choose copy, I'm going to tick multiple. Again, SC to pick it up. And then I can keep going along, SC each time to place a copy. Making sure it snaps to the center of each circle. And there we go. So that gives me pretty decent column grid, where I can then use structural columns. So you'll see, going to the down arrow, next to the column tool, you have structural columns. And if you haven't loaded a round column yet, you can just go to Load Family. And remember, if you're using structural columns, they're not in the columns folder, they're in the structural columns folder. That's a common mistake people make, going to columns instead of structural columns. And then you'll see in concrete, you have concrete round column. I'll double click. And then to set the size you need, you can go to Edit Type, Duplicate, give your name. You won't have 400mm if you just loaded it. So type something like that as your name, 400mm. I already have that, so I can choose it from the list and make sure the size there is correct. Another couple of tips with columns, it'll often be set to depth when you go to place the first column, so change that to height. And also try to set your level, even if you go to attach it to a floor afterwards, it'll really help you if you choose the height there by choosing a level. And then finally, to draw the columns, I'm not going to click to place them, I'm going to go to At Grids, which is an option you only get with structural columns. And so using At Grids, I can then make a window around all of those grid lines, and it'll automatically place a column at each intersection. Okay, so tick to finish. Now you'll see, if I look at this in 3D, all those main columns are done. We've still got a few of the rectangular columns to place down towards the bottom of the building, but we'll worry about those later. And that means that now I can go into the floor plan and fix up this curtain wall, because we know the curtain wall there needs to be proud, or needs to be set to one side of that column. Okay, so I'm just going to select the curtain wall and make sure, yep, that's the only one. And so then using the Move tool, I'm going to just try to pick it up at a point on the edge of the curtain wall and snap to the line of the front of the column. If you get a message about joining, don't worry, unjoin, that's fine. Now, if you want to be sure that you've got the right point, you can always draw a reference plane in that's snapping to the quadrant or the end point on one side of the column. And then again, try moving your wall and snap it right onto that reference plane. Okay, so then I can fix up this other wall. I'll just drag the end there forward so that it's, again, maybe a little bit past the curtain wall, so we get a good join there. And then the floor is a bit hard to see, but I can find it there on the corner. And so at this point, you'd want to start thinking about the edge of that floor, and once you go to Edit Boundary, you can just adjust the edge so that it sits at least to the front of the curtain wall. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, so that's the basic setup you'd want before worrying about the divisions in your curtain wall panels. So I'll do that next, but maybe just to show you a couple of little things that you can do before setting up those divisions. In the 3D view there, I'm going to select one of the curtain walls. It's called Storefront. If you go into Edit Type, you can modify that storefront curtain wall and take out the horizontal grid. So we don't need a horizontal grid division, so I'm going to set that to none. OK. And you'll get a message about deleting grid lines. That is what you want, so I'm going to go yes, delete grid lines. And notice it's taken out those transoms all of those horizontal mullions. Okay, so that's a simple thing you can do before you even get the division set up properly. Okay, but before we go any further, then I'll have to do some more things with the level above, get that slab adjusted. So have a look at some of the photos and you'll see what's happening there. Okay, so you can see here this slab projects out a little bit from the edge of the curtain wall. So it's a good time once you get the... let's go and see if we can find a better photo. Should separate these into exterior and interior. Don't think we're going to have a great photo of that part that I'm looking for, but let's see. Terrible. Yeah, so I think we need to maybe get some more photos, but let's see. Yeah, I think for now you can just assume that they are flush, in other words in line with each other. So the lower wall here you can see is now set forward of this upper wall, and also the slab there is set back. Okay, so you'd want to have a look at the upper floor slab, edit that boundary and line it up with the lower slab. So here it's a good chance to use the align tool. I'll bring that across, so there's my lower floor. Now I can choose the upper floor and just go around all the way where it needs to line up. That looks pretty good apart from there, or no, sorry, I've got this edge here which is proud of the curtain wall, and that's a good thing, so I'll choose that edge, and then again I can choose the other one. No, sorry, it's this one that's right. Sorry, again, so align. This one I'll choose first, and now there we are. That's much better. Yep. So that's all I need to do with the floor, and then the curtain wall, I can do the same thing. So we can see the curtain wall from the level below there. On the Modify tab, using the Align tool, I can use the centre line of that curtain wall and then choose the centre line of this curtain wall on my current level and just check it all the way through. So here this lower wall won't be in line now, so I can choose any of these walls up here, the centre line again, and then choose the centre line of this wall down below. And there we go. So that's all fairly well lined up now. And you'd want to get it to at least that point before worrying too much about the divisions. The divisions are going to be fairly easy to put in once we know how many panels you've got in each segment of wall. But I'll do that in a separate video. So I'll just maybe show you what it looks like from the outside so you can get a better idea. So you can see there everything's joining up fairly well. But then just one last thing, the columns you can see poke through the floor. So to fix that up, I'll show you a couple of little tricks. You can select one column, right click, and then go to select all instances in entire project, because I want all of those columns. And now using attach top base, I can choose the first floor, and you'll get a message about structural columns being attached to a non-structural target. Don't worry about that. So there we go. That gives you then the floor, the column stopping at the floor, and then maybe, one very final thing, the outer floor there. You can see it doesn't really need to follow the edge of the wall. Now that I've got the curtain wall there, I could edit this floor, because you've probably seen already that it's most likely one continuous slab. So you've got the option of either editing this floor and bringing it out into this area below, or if you know that you want a separate floor finish for that, which you most likely would want, you could always do a new floor. So I'll do that, just using the floor tool. I'll just leave it on the same floor type, just 150 for now. With pick lines, I can pick the edge of the floor I've already made. Just to put in something for the columns to sit on, really, more than anything. And also it's nice to have something outdoors to show at least the paving or whatever ground material you're going to have. So I was going to draw some lines now for the extra parts I want. So I'll just come out fairly nominal distance. I'm not sure what that would be. Anything. So let's say I think a metre is enough there. So yeah, just go down and around. Trim it all up. There you go. So I'll finish that, and then you'll see those columns now have something to sit on. Right, so like I said, you could extend the other floor out, but that way if it's a separate floor, then you can change the material more easily. Oh, and so one thing I'm going to do straight away, we've got columns that are out here holding this part up, so I can just select that floor, edit boundary, and I'll just drag that edge out for the time being. Something like that. We'll work out exactly how big that is later. And so I'll show you the rectangular columns, I'll put those in afterwards. But that's a really good starting point. Once you've got it set up like that, then the curtain walls are going to be much easier to work with.